All right, what's up, guys? This is going to be Amber Heard's attorney, Elaine, on her verdict. She was on the CBS Morning Show and a couple others. I just like this one the most. Um, it's pretty interesting what she has to say. I've watched the entire court case. I haven't really covered it a lot. I have a lot of opinions on it, but I've basically watched every single witness, any evidence that was given out. I've watched the entire case um, for 6 weeks. It was a pretty interesting case, and I'm pretty sure most people agree with me in that I feel like justice was served, and we'll get into more of why that is. But without further ado, let's listen to this lady talk about the case and see how in tune she is with reality.
A Virginia jury's decision to side with Johnny Depp in his defamation lawsuit is drawing both condemnation and praise. The verdict came after 6 weeks of very dramatic testimony from both sides. She claimed that he abused her, while he said she was the abuser. In his reaction, Depp wrote, "The goal of bringing the case was to reveal the truth, and that truth never perishes." Elaine Charlson-Bredehoff is the attorney for Amber Heard and is with us now. And we should mention, we did also reach out to Johnny Depp's team, but they declined to be interviewed this morning. Elaine, thank you. We're so very glad you're here.
Thank you.
Yeah, they're lawyers. I honestly feel like this is a mistake for her to even come out here and talk about it. I think the best thing that Amber Heard could do was to just walk away and just let it go. Because if she continues to pursue this, she's just going to lose more money. And I just can't see how she'll win an argument or another court case. Not with, after all the people watching it around the world. I think they said like 15 billion. Something crazy. Hashtag justice for Johnny Depp. Like, it's just crazy. A lot of people have seen a lot of things with this trial, and we're going to hear what her lawyer says about this.
We heard Amber's reaction to the verdict yesterday. This seems to be a huge victory for Johnny Depp this morning.
Yeah, a major setback for women, for women inside the courtroom and outside
Not true.
the courtroom.
Because
basically what this said, Amber had an enormous amount of evidence.
No, she did not.
Although a lot of it was suppressed in this case as opposed to the UK. But look at all the women who have no evidence. All these women who suffer from domestic violence, domestic abuse.
I mean, how hard is it to take a picture and hide the picture when somebody beats the crap out of you, like she was claiming? This all comes down to, she's trying to make it into this whole thing about, people aren't going to believe women anymore. And that is just patently false. People will believe women. You just need to be able to back it up. And, there are plenty of cases out there where it was 100%, this is what happened, and we're sure of it. AKA like what happened to, I think it was Chris Rock and Rihanna, where he beat the crap out of her face. That's what actual abuse looks like. And nobody in the world is ever going to say like, oh yeah, we appreciate what you did. Or, well, I don't think it was Chris Brown, not Chris Rock. My bad. I love Chris Rock. He didn't do that. Nah, he got slapped in the face by Will, which was a pretty interesting one too. But Chris Brown was the singer, and he's the one who did that. And I'm not going to show you pictures of it, but you can go look it up. That's what actual abuse looks like. That's what it happens when somebody really gets physically abused, whatever. And I don't think anybody who truly is dealing with this is ever going to be ridiculed, mocked, not believed. It's just when all you have is your word and pictures that don't align with your word and statement that goes against what you said earlier and lie after lie being caught on camera for the whole world to see, it makes it pretty hard for people to trust and believe in you. And that's where Amber Heard shot herself in the foot. It wasn't that she might or might not have been abused. It's that her statements were to the extreme. She didn't just say, oh, he did this, he did that. She made it these graphic, intense, brutal moments that if they had happened, there is absolutely no way that she would have looked okay afterwards. You know, a man doesn't hit somebody 18 times in a row in the face and your face not be bruised and broken. You know, there was multiple times in her just her little part where she was up on the stand where she said that he like hit her 15 times in a row in the face and he kept slapping her over and over. Dude, I got slapped one time by my buddy as a joke because we made a slap bet, you know, based off of How I Met Your Mother for my friend's wedding. They said I was being a little bit annoying. And so I was, I guess, voted to get slapped. And Drunk Patrick was like, yeah, totally, slap me. And that man slapped me and it cut the side of my head. Just one slap. His fingernail just barely nicked the side and I had a whole cut that with a scab and everything, and it took like 2 weeks to go away. And the slap didn't really hurt. I was fine, you know. I took it like a champ. There's video of me. Maybe I'll show it someday. But yeah, no. It's just like that's not why people don't believe her. And this is so annoying. It's hard to listen to this. Oh my God.
They don't have evidence. And basically what this jury said is unless you pull out your cell phone and you tape record your spouse beating you, you're out of luck.
But Elaine, I think it was bigger than that because you had the evidence, as you say, but they did not believe her. Why do you think they did not believe her?
I think that a lot of that was that it was Johnny Depp. I think the celebrity
no shot is it about Johnny Depp being famous. She is just a liar, dude. We all know it. She's a liar. Like, she got caught in so many lies. There's some reason that there's that video with the what's her name? Camille Vasquez, where she just goes into her and calls her out on lie after lie after lie. And, you know, Amber just basically keeps saying that, well, the police lied. Well, my friends lied. Well, Johnny lied. Well, Johnny's friends all lied. Well, you know, the lawyers are lying. My own lawyers are incompetent and didn't put enough evidence into the trial to show what happened. It's just crazy. She could not accept any responsibility for her actions whatsoever. It was always blame someone else. And it was very, very clear that that's what she did.
status.
But she's a celebrity too.
And it's not only not
she's
believing her.
but she's a celebrity too.
Right.
But you have to remember, it's a tale of two trials. All the evidence came in the UK. Mr. Depp brought that one. The burden of proof.
But the difference between the UK trial and this trial in America was that Johnny Depp sued a newspaper for printing what they printed about him and saying that he was a wife beater. It is much harder to sue and win against a newspaper than it is to sue and win against Amber Heard for making statements in a newspaper, right? Because she wrote the op-ed. It's not the same. It was not the same court case. And also, the UK's judicial system is not the same as America's. It never has been, nor will it ever be. And maybe that's a good thing or a bad thing, depending on where you fall. But they're not the same. She had to go against a jury. It was not just a judge. From my understanding, the UK trial was tried by a judge, and the judge makes the final verdict. So it's you're only convincing one person, and he gets to choose what gets shown, he or she, I guess. I don't even know what kind of judge. In this one, it was a woman in the American trial, but obviously in the UK trial, I think the pictures I saw, it was a man. But anyways, that judge got to choose the experts, what testimony was acceptable, what wasn't. There were so many other things that had to do with why that trial went a different way than it did in America.
Was on the Sun.
It's not a good
in
example.
The UK because they had called him a wife beater and talked about the domestic violence. He had his opportunity to tell the
And I mean,
truth
I don't think they should have called him a wife beater without
in the
evidence.
3-week trial, he lost. The judge found 12 acts of domestic violence, including sexual violence. And that came out November 2, 2020. We weren't allowed to tell the jury that.
Well, it's a different system, and the judge, it wasn't a jury, it was a judge.
Thank you.
It was substantially true, and that is significant, and I think surprised a lot of legal analysts. But, you know, in this case, the jury not only didn't believe Amber Heard, but in ruling that she acted with actual malice, that means she had the intent to cause harm, right? That's a pretty high standard to have proven.
And it's pretty amazing since the op-ed never even mentioned Mr.
Oh my God, how many times do we have to hear this argument? You do not have to say someone's name in order for people to understand who you are talking about. Everything in life is based off of context. It's the context around what you say. That's why a lot of the texts that they allowed in, even voice, phone calls that they had between each other that were recorded, or like fights that were recorded in person, we didn't get the full context. And so even that was like a little bit dicey, because you have to understand what people are coming from. And you cannot just pick and choose that somebody said something mean and they're like, they meant it this way. Because people joke when they're in a private conversation, they speak completely different than when they're in the public's eye, etc. And it does not necessarily mean that someone intends to hurt somebody, whatever, hurt them, take advantage of them. It's all about context. I can't tell you how many times I've said something out of anger, spite, resentment, jealousy, that I never intended to actually happen to a person, but I said it in confidence to a friend or whatever, and was like, man, I wish this person would take a big L in some way, shape, or form because of what they did. And if you took that out of context, it would make me look way worse than I did. I'm not saying that some of the things that he said throughout the court case were not a little bit... maybe he shouldn't have used the words that he did. And I don't think, you should be talking about your girl like that, or anybody. But I also think that it wasn't something that Amber Heard was supposed to see. And it was something that he was using as a venting method. And so this whole idea is just crazy. It's just lunacy. And her bringing this up is just such a joke, man.
Depp. You have to remember that. What they learned from the UK case is to demonize Amber, which is what they did, and to try to suppress as much of the evidence that came in the UK and did not come in the United States. But the other problem is we had cameras in the courtroom. So here we had, not only did we have a...
Dude, cameras were the greatest thing that ever happened with this, because cameras allowed transparency and people to get to see what she was saying and what the witnesses were saying and get the full story for themselves, instead of it being just, oh, he was guilty or not guilty. It would not have held the weight. I do agree that to an extent, it became pretty clear as the trial went on where people were falling on it, and there is definitely much more support for Johnny Depp in this than there was Amber Heard. And I do think that, a lot of the things that people called Amber Heard and the way they talked about her were not things that you should say about somebody, even if they're being a liar. But in the same, tune, she has been caught in so many lies, so many things that are not true, that do not add up, that do not align within her story that she told, her narrative that she brought to the court case. It doesn't make sense. And people are unhappy about the fact that she was lying. If she had been more truthful, if she had been more accepting of the fact that maybe she had done some things wrong, maybe she had instigated some of the fights, Johnny did this, Johnny did that, and not taking it to these extremes where it was not only not provable, but not what she said last time. Her truth changed. And because of that, she made herself look like a liar. And whether she is or is not telling the truth about every situation, it's very hard to tell between when she's speaking the truth and when she's not, because of what she did and how she changed her story to seem more crazy, more violent, more destructive. And if she had stuck to her initial thing that she claimed in the UK trials when she was deposed there, then maybe she might have come out with a better verdict. But she made it more extreme, and the evidence did not align with how extreme and insane she was saying he was towards her. And that, at the end of the day, is what convinced me, because I didn't go in really knowing anything about this trial. I knew that he had lost a trial in UK, but to be honest with you, I don't pay attention to celebrity gossip. Awesome. You know, the only people I really pay attention to are like YouTubers, content creators on like Twitch. Like, I don't really care about, you know, movie stars or Kim Kardashian, you know, unless it's something that's really big and just pops out. I don't care. I don't watch their shows. I don't take their content in. And I think a lot of Americans are like that too. Like, yeah, have I liked movies that Johnny Depp is in? Absolutely. I've also liked movies that Amber Heard was in the past. I can't remember this one, but it was something that me and my friends watched a lot when we were younger and in high school, and I didn't even know that she was the girl in it until my roommate was like, "Yeah, dude, she was the main love interest of this person." I was like, "What? No!" Still like the movie. I'll probably still watch it.
Group of Depp fans that were there every day. 100 were allowed in. They lined up at 1 o'clock in the morning for their
Which I will.
wristbands
Okay, that
to
is
be in
kind of
that
crazy.
courtroom.
Like, come
But
on.
we had everything on camera, and we had tremendous social media that was very, very, very much against Amber.
Like never ever would I take time out of my day, take off work to go to any celebrity. Anything that I don't personally know the person and I feel like my moral support would be important to them. So say like a family member went to court, like I would show up, unless maybe they had done something so heinous and it was 100% true. I don't know. I might not show up. I might not show up to something like that. But other than that, if there was any sort of belief that they were innocent, that they, you know, I would show up. But other than that, I'm not taking time out of my day to go show up to this. I watched it when I had the
It was
chance.
pointed out that that was the first time that
But
a
you didn't
victim
need
of
to go to
sexual
court.
abuse had to testify on live television.
And I fought hard and lost that battle. It should not have happened.
So I am a former NFL player, and after a hard loss, it's easy to wake up and point to the other side. Oftentimes, I realized the better thing to do was to look in the mirror. What mistakes did I make as a player? What mistakes did our coaching staff make? And then how can we improve from there? Do you feel like you guys made any mistakes along the way? Do you feel like Amber made a mistake while she was on the stand? Because you're saying it's the celebrity, it's Johnny, it's the people who support him. But what about you and your team?
Well, and that's an excellent.
It's an excellent question. That's a damn good question. This guy killed it. He gave us a real question. That's the best question I've seen asked to her, and I am so interested to see how she responds to this.
Excellent question. And to say, and you know, Amber even said on the stand, "I am not perfect. I am a human being." These people were.
He asked you what mistakes you made. Not that she said she wasn't perfect. What mistakes did you make in the case that could have swayed the jury to find for or against you? And you're not
giving her death threats. They threatened to microwave her baby. This is the kind of social media she was getting. So are any of us perfect? No. Is there something else we feel we should have done? Yes, absolutely.
Give us
I
concrete
redo my
examples
closings
of that.
100 times. afterwards, whether I win or lose. That's part of being a good lawyer, a good trial lawyer, is there's always something. But I think that there were a lot of influences here that were beyond our control. And I think the social media, it was like a Roman
So it's everybody else's fault that they lost.
Is the best way to describe the atmosphere here. And I have to believe that the jury, even though they're told not to go and look at anything, they have weekends, they have families, they have.
They were not sequestered. They were not sequestered.
And the 10-day period we had, how could they not have?
So now she's saying that the jury was poisoned by social media. First off, that is honestly kind of a good argument, but the problem is, hear me out, is how are you ever going to police somebody from not using their phone and getting on social media? It is 100% impossible. Every case that is being tried in the court of day, like in our day and age, since the 90s, since technology became rampant in our society, and we all had cell phones and everything, and in the last 10 years, it's got even crazier. Everybody is a little bit poisoned. Everybody is going to see things, whether they try to or not. People are going to see things. There is no way to protect from this unless you confiscate their phones, do not allow them to go home. They can't watch any TV except for like movies and things that are like pre-recorded, that have no ads, no breaking news, nothing. And they can't go home to their families for 7 weeks while they do this trial. That would be the only way to keep them from being exposed to anything, to 100%. The fact that you lost this trial has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the content of what you presented as evidence and how Amber Heard presented herself. And she fell like vastly short because of that.
Been influenced.
But Elaine, for most people
So
watching this trial,
ridiculous.
a lot of people, as you know, it got huge views. It just seemed to be so messy and salacious and so tawdry on both sides. And I think for a lot of people from the outside looking in thought both of them were not telling the truth, and that they mutually abused each other.
And that's what I'm saying. I think if Amber had come about the way she presented herself, and if she had kept to the facts and not deviated from her initial stories that she told the cops, she told her friends, and then all of a sudden she presented new evidence and came up with this whole thing where instead of him accidentally cutting his finger, because she said he literally cut his finger on a bottle that he was waving around. Then all of a sudden, that's what she said in the first trial, from what I was told. I did not watch the UK trial, so I don't know. But in the first trial, that was what she said. Then all of a sudden, when she went to this trial, she said, no, he didn't even cut his hand with a bottle. He took a phone that was on the wall and smashed the crap out of the phone till it smashed his finger off. And then took a bottle and attacked her with it. And did things that he shouldn't have been doing to her in a sexual manner. And she never had said any of that coming into this court case. She had never claimed any of that. And so then she just looked like, what do you mean? If all these things had happened to you, if he had, done all this stuff, where are the pictures of the broken phone? Where is all this, the bottle that was broken that he supposedly used on you? She had none of that. And so it just became very clear that there was something not right with what she was saying. And once it got to that point, her biggest mistake, their biggest mistake was Amber Heard not telling the truth, not just sticking to the facts. If she had just stuck to the facts and said, this is what happened, and, I think there would have been a higher chance of her not going to, and then her donating the money. If she had donated all of the money instead of saying she pledged it and not actually donating any money to the charities that she said she did with her money that she got out of the divorce, people would have found her more credible. Her mistake was not donating the money and lying on the stand. If she had not done if she had donated the money like she had been told, she could have gone to court, been broke as hell, and I think a lot of people would have believed her, having known that she donated $7 million, all of the money that Johnny gave her, to charity. I think a lot of people would have believed her. And then secondly, if she had stuck to her initial stories that she told when she was deposed in the first case, what she said this whole time, if she had stuck to her initial stories, people would have believed her, but she didn't. And people felt like she was a liar.
Do you not believe that that was the case?
No, and that's one of the many misnomers. The way the Depp's team approached this was based on ignorance of domestic
No
violence.
accountability.
It completely ignored the cycle of violence and just said, oh, she wouldn't
It's
have done
all
this
Depp's
if he had
fault.
been
It's
hitting
all the
her. That was
attorney's
their
fault. It
approach.
couldn't
thought they
be
weren't
their
fighting
fault.
fair?
It couldn't be Amber's fault.
Correct. I don't think they were fighting fair.
And you think
They're not
Amber
fighting
is, in
fair.
fact,
They
a
cheated.
survivor of domestic violence?
Yes, I absolutely believe that. And
How?
there's a tremendous amount of evidence, much of which did not come into this trial, did come into the UK trial. We even had more evidence. We had medical records. We had mental health records.
Then where were they? Because they weren't in evidence. They were never shown.
It went back to 2012 that were contemporaneous. We had
Medical records, like, did she go to the doctor and get treated for being beat, for having all these injuries, for having her nose broken twice, supposedly? You know, where is that evidence? Her only evidence that they keep coming back to is that she went to a therapist and said things to the therapist. That is not the same. It is not something that you can take verbatim on word that actually happened. People can lie and direct the truth in the way they want to. Simply talking to a therapist is not enough evidence in a court of law to prove that somebody has actually done something to you, because you're only hearing one side of the story. It's the same idea as when I have friends that, like, say break up or are going through a big fight together, and it's like a girl and a guy, or even two guys or two girls that are fighting each other, and they come to me and they ask for my advice and they tell me their side of the story. I always say to them, I need to hear what the other person has to say without you being there, or with you at least not saying anything, and so that I can come to a better understanding of where you're coming from and where they're coming from. Because it is almost impossible to not judge somebody if you're only hearing one side of the story. And a therapist only hears one side of the story unless they talk to the other side. In which case, Amber Depp's therapist, the one that, you know, gave her all these diagnoses, she never talked to Johnny Depp. Never talked to him.
had text messages from Mr. Depp's assistant saying, when I told him that he had kicked you, he cried.
So how
That
is she
didn't come
today,
in.
Elaine? How is she today? What
She's
is her
heartbroken.
next move?
She's right. Well, her next move is appeal. There were
Oh my God. And I released a video earlier today about a guy with child support talking about how much it costs. Just imagine what they're fleecing, you know, Amber Heard for. And she's not going to be able to pay for all this and pay for all the damages she incurred to Johnny Depp for lying about what happened to her. And nobody's going to believe her. And she's not going to win another court case. There's absolutely no freaking way this is going to get repealed and the verdict overturned. It's just not happening. She's just going to waste money doing this. It's like, if her true belief, what she kept saying throughout the trial, was, I just want this to end and be over with. Well, it's over with now. But now that she didn't win, now that she didn't win, it's over with now. She still wants to continue to go on. It's not over with. She wants to just continue to go on and on and on and argue and argue and argue about this. If you really wanted peace, the best thing you can do is get out of the limelight, stop have people like me talking about you and the case, and move on with your life. You know, but now you won't accept that you were not telling the truth. And I firmly believe she knows she's not telling the truth. And there are things that she's not telling the truth. And it's sad because maybe some of the things she's saying are true, but we'll never know because she seems so dishonest and she was caught in so many lies. People aren't going to believe her.
But she's heartbroken.
She is heartbroken. And one of the first things that she said when she came back from the verdict,
and I don't even
into the
believe this
conference
either,
room, was, "I am so sorry to all these women."
I don't believe she said that.
She felt like she
I don't
had
believe
let
that.
down all of these women. Because
You've
she had
let
more
down all
evidence
these
than
women.
most people do, and yet they still.
By going into court and lying instead of telling the truth, you have let down all these women that have experienced true abuse and are going to go into the court and tell the truth, and people might not believe them. That's your fault for going in and not taking this as serious as you should have. It's actually insane. I'm so mad about this. I just
didn't believe her.
Elaine Charleston, Bretta Hoff, thank you so much for joining us.
I love this guy, the freaking NFL player though. Like, that was such a good question, and you can just see she couldn't even answer that question. She couldn't even critically say, like, there are things that we made mistakes. None of that. It's just everything's against us. Everybody was lying. Like 27 people that took the stand and said that Johnny Depp has never been seen abusing, that he didn't do these things, that the story isn't right. The police didn't see her injuries. All these people are liars, and she's right. It's actually crazy. But I just think that goes to show you how narcissistic and out of touch with reality she is. And I wish she could get help and maybe come to peace with who she is and fix these glaring things that are wrong with her. But I don't think it's going to happen. And I think she's just going to take this victim mentality to the grave and say, I never did anything wrong. Johnny's just a bad person, and never take any accountability for her actions or grow as a human being. You know, and until I hear something otherwise from her saying that, yes, there are all these things I did wrong, you know, I just hope to God they don't overturn this. Like, there's no freaking way. There's no evidence. Like, it's so bad. The evidence in the case was so one-sided, in my opinion. And the few things they did have, they argued so badly. They botched it all. Like, do I think they could have done this better? Absolutely. And I think they could have gotten a different verdict. But like I said, the two things, her lying about the money and not actually donating it, but saying on national TV and to multiple other people that she had donated all $7 million, but then she didn't. And most of the money was donated by Elon Musk and Johnny Depp before. And most of it wasn't even from her own pocket. So it's like, she lied about how much she donated, how much of it was her own money, and that she donated all $7 million when she didn't. And then she lied on the stand and got caught in multiple different lies because she made up things on the spot to make the abuse seem more than it really was, to seem even more extreme, more crazy, more, shocking. And because she did that, it made her look like even more of a liar because it didn't add up with previous stories told and what other people said about the situations, not including Johnny Depp. So she lost this case for herself. And basically that's it. And I do feel a little bit sorry for these lawyers for taking her case on when she basically shot him in the foot. But I also don't feel sorry because I think that
We appreciate you. Yeah,
Thank
we'll
you.
be right back.
I just think that she has to, they need to take responsibility and accountability and move on and say it's over. And maybe Amber is telling the lies about a lot of it. And maybe if she had not lied, she could have gotten a more clear picture of what true justice was. I'm not sure. But as far as it goes, with all the information being given, you're guilty, you're a liar, Amber Heard, and I don't think anybody really believes you, sadly. With that being said, peace out. See you next time, guys.